this platform that we initially set out by the creation of, as I mentioned, advisory boards. So advisory boards from different communities, so multicultural communities, Greek communities, queer communities, student veterans, ROTCs, student parents, all these various groups, and I definitely didn't list all of them, that can chime in. So the advocacy that we do is, again, continually rooted in student needs. So say, for example, we're working on a sexual violence campaign or a sexual assault or sexual awareness campaign, then we can go to our Greek community outreach advisory board, and we can go to our multicultural advisory board and have them shape what this campaign for our programming looks like, instead of just the individuals in MSA relying on them to input. So proactive process.
Yeah, so definitely working on getting that student voice involved is what we really would want to be doing. So we would love to expand upon the practices that MSA currently has in order to bring in more student voices, like the open office hours, which I think is an awesome idea. So you don't have to just go into the one space in order to visit with somebody to make sure that your voice is being heard. We have been working on what we like to call the People's Platform currently. So we had set out our initial pillars with the ideas that we wanted to really make sure that we're forward and seen in our platform and in our advocacy. But we also have been taking input right on our website underneath our platform, really listening to community members, listening to friends and family on this campus, just to see what the needs of all students are, because Larry and I, we do have varying identities, but that does not mean that we are a voice that is omnipotent and knows all of the issues that students are facing on campus.
Just a few quick examples of that. Low sensory lighting was something that neither one of us actually knew about until a student let us know using People's Platform. We had no idea how effective such an easy change could be. The same thing looking at Boyden and mental health services there, understanding how there are certain cultural incompetencies there that adversely affect the community.
All right, any rebuttal from Simran and Mina? Okay.
I think it's important to give credit where credit is due. We actually do have a floating office hour program that we initiated this year, and we realized that the MSA office is not a space that a lot of people feel comfortable entering. As a result of that, we've tried to initiate this program where our leadership team members will actually have one office hour a week. This is optional if they don't feel comfortable with this as well, where they can go and learn anywhere on the second floor. And we've actually got approval from multiple of the student cultural centers on the second floor, as well as drafting documents to make sure that we're abiding by their cultural norms, so we're not just going in there and taking a lot of their space and destroying that state space for them, as well as the opportunity to go and sit in all that open space in common floor too, if our officers don't feel that they necessarily want to go into a cultural center, but still to be accessible to the student body. And so this is a program that we've actually initiated, and it's been quite successful, and a lot of people actually do approach me when I'm sitting and doing my office hours in another student center or in the second floor of Kaufman. And I think that it's something that has been very successful, we want to continue.
Rebuttal.
I don't know if you had heard me or if I misspoke. I meant to say that we want to continue with office hours, not create them.
All right, anything else from Mina and Simran? No? Okay. Now we will be moving on to questions from the audience. First question, how do you plan on maintaining crucial relationships with administrators? And we will start this with Dobbs and Laurence, and you can both answer together.
So I think having these critical relationships with administrators is something that is fairly easy to do if you're able to kind of talk the talk and walk the walk in a certain way. Yes, you do have to make those meaningful connections with other individuals, and you have to make sure that there are these bonds between administration and the student body. In the past, I've had awesome opportunities in order to work with administration on campus, being a teaching assistant in the communications department, and also working on the undergraduate advisory board. So just being really able to understand how administrating a large university works and how administrators think. And so I believe that that is something that's really key in order for us to build those meaningful relationships, but also to recognize that we're all people. I think that's something that we have as a barrier facing a lot of students on campus, is that there's kind of this divide between students and administration. When like at the end of the day, we all process air the same way, but the air that we're breathing may be seen as different.
And he pretty much hit everything I was going to say on the head. But when it comes to Dow specifically, and his experience dealing with administrators, understanding how to communicate effectively with them is something that we're both very capable of. And really knowing that everything that we come in with an open mind, and being able to understand that everything that we do on this campus is a
Do you want me to type them, or do you want me to re-ask it?
Oh, no, I didn't know what the question is.
Oh. Sure, I can start right now.
Perfect. So I'll start in the meantime. I would say that this is something, relationships with administrators is something that Mina and I have worked for the past 3 years tirelessly to develop. And I would disagree with Dobbs in saying that it's not easy. It's not easy to get administrators to respect you, to recognize you, but we can safely say at this point that so many administrators know us by first name, they know our work, they know the projects we've done, they recognize and respect our leadership, and that's taken 3 years of credibility to establish. In my current role, my whole role is dealing with administration with different offices, the Office of Equity University, the Office of Student Affairs, making sure that they're working in collaboration with student government, and student government is working in collaboration with them for all the advocacy and legislation that we pass.
I would add that administrators don't necessarily like us, but they respect us. Every single one of the Board of Regents, individuals in the President's office, all the Vice Presidents, and from there on down, know the two of us by name, and they will pull us aside when they have a question about student concerns that comes up, because they realize that we have the voice of students and we're going to share the voice of students, and we've been doing that consistently for the past 3 years. And so I think realizing that it's taken so long to nurture those relationships of respect, and that it's those relationships that we can actually use next year when we're trying to push forward all the platform items.
All right, any rebuttal? Okay, we will move on to the next audience question. Some of these are a bit long, so I will read them before each party answers, just so the audience is reminded. All right, the next question is, what are some practical and immediate steps the university should implement to have people trained to report sexual assault? And this will begin with Simran and Mina.
So at this point in time, every single faculty and staff member on campus is a mandatory reporter, except for individuals that work within the Aurora Center. And so, I would add to that with conversations that we've had with Dr. Alan Berkowitz, who's a national expert on college sexual misconduct, he's pointed out the need for us to expand the capacity of institutions like the Aurora Center to have more non-reporting spaces across campus, so students don't feel that they have to hide their experiences from administration and can actually go and get feeling and But with this new mandatory reporting policy, only 30% of administrators have actually taken the online training model that was recently rolled out, which means that 70% of faculty and staff on campus are not trained to go and deal with this new responsibility that they have. And one of the top things the two of us will push is to make sure that that online model has 100% participation for faculty and staff across campus. But we also want to push, and I think the next step would be having like in-person training sessions with individuals in the Aurora Center, so that you can have in-person conversations, really understand how to navigate those very complex conversations, besides just knowing from the 30-minute model that there's an Aurora Center and POA and stuff like that. Like, you actually know how to be silent, how to listen when a student comes up to you with those concerns and those horrible experiences.
All right, and I will repeat the question for the sake of the audience since we don't have it up there. What are some practical and immediate steps the university should implement to have people trained to report sexual assault?
Definitely, in terms of the steps that we can take immediately, I couldn't agree more with y'all that we do need to make sure that mandatory training is up to 100% of all staff and faculty on the campus. I, in previous roles, have been a mandatory reporter on campus where I have received minimal training other than to let students and individuals know where they can go to receive confidential services. And so I think that's also something that's really important that needs to be explained in the training, because we talk about it once during orientation, but then a couple times during welcome week, but we don't really reiterate that there are confidential services on this campus. There also should definitely be language that is used within the trainings, just making sure that students and individuals know before they're speaking to an individual about sexual assault or sexual misconduct that they will have to report this. I believe that that's something as to where students, especially marginalized communities, may not automatically know that an individual is a mandatory reporter, and then they find themselves in the hands of legal services like the next week receiving an email. It's a very interesting time on our campus, especially with the ideology behind mandatory reporting. So I definitely think as long as we're able to get that training to 100% of the staff members, that's critical, but also making sure that we have cultural competencies when it comes to mandatory reporting along with that, because there's so many marginalized communities who are afraid to go out and speak out about things like this because they don't have the best involvement or best track record with legal services on campus.
All right, Simran and Mina, any rebuttal? No? All right, we will move on to the next audience question. This is coming from a Gopher Chauffeur employee. Would you advocate to keep the weekday expansion next year? In general, what would you change or add to the Gopher Chauffeur next year? And this will start with Dobbs and Laurent. Absolutely. So this is coming from a Gopher Chauffeur employee, and they asked, would you advocate to keep the weekday expansion next year? And in general, would you change or add the Gopher Chauffeur at all next year?
For myself, personally, I believe that the expansion of the weekdays for the Gopher Chauffeur this year has been very effective. For me being around, seeing how many of the students here that I talked to have benefited this year so far, I really don't see why that needs to change next year. I believe this has been mutually beneficial to all those involved, but I would like to get more input from those who do work over Chauffeur, saying if there is anything that needs to be changed as of now, but so far I can't really think of anything.
I think it's something that may be beneficial, yet I don't know if it's incredibly feasible, is almost increasing the fleet of vehicles that we have for the Gopher Chauffeur. So students aren't waiting 2 hours on a Saturday night to get home. That can be ridiculous, especially if the student is in a space that may not be safe when they're going to a Gopher Chauffeur, or if they're under the influence of substances. So that would be something that we would like to see, is an increase in the fleet size of the Gopher Chauffeur, especially since we're having a 6,200 incoming first-year student class. This is going to be one of the largest that we've ever seen. And also that so many students are no longer in Pioneer, and they're well, not now, but we are having more students who aren't guaranteed housing on campus more and more so every year. And we do need to make sure that those students are getting home any time of the day, any time of the week.
And I'll repeat the question again for the audience. This is coming from a Gopher Chauffeur employee. Would you advocate to keep the weekday expansion next year? And in general, what would you change or add to the Gopher Chauffeur?
And when speaking with the Talo of the Office of Student Affairs, she really emphasized how successful the pilot program has been so far. And of course, kind of seeing the success so far, this is something that we're really excited to see and advocate for it to be institutionalized. I think it's really great that we have programs like Gopher Chauffeur, but it's also important to kind of go down to the root of the issue of why we need services like this. You know, weeknights, it's because safety. Campus doesn't feel safe for many, many groups of students, especially students who are marginalized. Our research team did this really great survey and found that it was women and it was communities of color and it was queer communities who often didn't study late at night or didn't go to events late at night or didn't participate in things. And that, to us, isn't acceptable. That it's affecting the communities that are most vulnerable on campus, and really working to, you know, go to the root of the issue, and that's things like improving lighting, that things like making buses and making bus routes more accessible. An idea that's been thrown around this year and something we'd really like to see next year is a consolidated app with all the, your travel options, so that includes ordering a grocery chauffeur, that includes the nearby buses, that includes walk times and best designated walk routes that are well lit. So an app that consolidates resources for students, especially students, like I mentioned, in communities that really need that support. So yes, so going to the root of the issue, but definitely keeping the coverage open.
Rebuttal? Yes, okay, go ahead.
And also when we're looking to the root of issues on this campus, I think a lot of it starts within students and their parents in the first year. We have to ask, what is making students feel unsafe on this campus? What systems are currently in place as where students are not feeling safe? And I think there is like this overarching belief that, oh, you're in an urban area, it's not safe for students. That's one that is being perpetuated year after year by administration on this campus and in our first year programs. Where yes, we do need to recognize that there are higher crime rates in the area that we're in, but we need to make sure that students are being safe and smart, but not being scared of the location that they're in. And that's one of the systems that we really need to make sure that we are working on and that are dismantling.
Any rebuttal from Mr. Marina? No? Okay. We'll move on to the final audience question. With the University Senate being an important change, making body for system, wide relevance. Sorry. How do you plan on working with the representatives of Student Senate to push the system-wide relevant plans? So, just coming from the Senate, how do you plan to work with the Student Senate to push the system-wide relevant plans? This will start with Simran.
So Senate goes hand in hand with MSA, and for the past 3 years, a lot of resolutions that have gone through MSA have gone through Senate and vice versa. And so currently, for example, the DACA legislation that we mentioned is currently being proposed to go through Senate. So it's really important that as we think about Twin Cities, that we also think about system-wide change, because Twin Cities is one of University of Minnesota's many campuses.
And I would fall back on the fact that I served as a student senator for the past 2 years and have a really strong understanding of not only the Senate structure, but the Senate committee structure and how advocacy through that platform is successful. And I think that I would expand this to say that it's beyond just working with Student Senate, it's working at the Regents level, the Senate level, MSA, COGS, PSG, all of the other levels of like student government with student boards, and making sure that we're all on the same page with the initiatives that we're pushing forward. Because we really do drop the ball when it comes to student boards. And I think that if we incorporated that in a lot of the advocacy work that we do, we can combine our resources and make sure that all the initiatives we're doing are fully holistic of the campus community. And I think that would really increase the performance of the team.
All right, just repeating the question, how do you plan on working with the representatives to the Student Senate to push system-wide relevant plans?
Yeah, we don't have time to answer this. So we definitely need to be making sure that we are continuing working on those relationships within the Student Senate and making sure that we are building those bonds and continuing those bonds. It's definitely a thing of trust when it comes to the Student Senate in order for individuals to really believe the people that they're in conjunction with. And then also, like Mina had said, making sure that we are continuing working on those relationships with the Board of Regents, working on those relationships with administration, and those who are in the higher powers that be. So I believe essentially the same thing that they had just iterated.
As you just said, I completely agree with when it comes to this. And when it comes to expanding all this to the Board of Regents, all of these different cultural centers, what I also see can be done is really expanding it to the greater Minneapolis community. We live in a Big Ten institution that's so unique because we are in the middle of two beautiful urban areas where the students there also have these types of issues going in. And so being able to communicate not only on campus, but all and involving the Senate, involving all these different organizations together to be able to make more cohesive change.
All right, any rebuttal? Okay. Okay, so I said that was the last question, but we actually just got a few more good ones, so we're gonna go through those as well. All right, so this will start with Dobbs and Laurence. Why is your ticket best suited to run a social justice focused campaign to address the needs of marginalized communities on campus?
Yeah, so we believe that our campaign is the best one that fits our social justice model. And due to the fact is that's what we're running on. We truly are here to work for the students that are on the fringes of campus, the students who are pushed to the edges. We're here not only to set the table for those individuals, to bring those conversations to the table, and to bring those ideas and experiences, but we also want to be there in order to be a megaphone for students. And also with our platform and our campaign, we really want to encourage individuals to be their own megaphones. We want voices to not be stifled by the bureaucracy and individuals who are in higher positions such as the Board of Regents and administration. We want students to be encouraged to use their voices, and that's what we're doing with our campaign, and that's what we would do within our ticket in order to promote social justice for students on campus.
You know, when I came here, this was one of my biggest issues. I'm someone who's had the privilege of not really having a very well-to-do background. And as such, I've seen injustices from age 0. And really understanding many of the marginalized communities on this campus, as I am a member of one, understanding these communities and being able to better communicate with them, knowing what's happening.
All right, any rebuttal? Oh, I'm so sorry. Sorry, I was getting more questions. So. Yes, absolutely. So why is your ticket best suited to run a social justice focused campaign to address the needs of marginalized communities on campus?
So I would say our ticket is best suited to run a social justice campaign because one, our experiences on campus as are continuously trying to bring the values of campaigns to the student leaders on campus. And we mentioned at the beginning that, it's not, we often don't see leaders like us growing up, and so it's our hard work and our work on advocacy that has gotten us here. But I would also say the part two is our willingness to listen. We're not just here, wanting to kind of reflect on our own experiences, but we want to hear the experiences of those around us, and this is exactly what I did when I was co-director of diversity and inclusion. Is you listen to people's stories, you listen to people's experiences, you make sure that their experiences are validated because that's step one, and then you act on them.
I would add on to that, our track record. I've always said that the most valuable thing a student can give is not the money, because none of us have any. It's our time. And Zimmer and I both demonstrated that we're willing to go and continuously give our time to the communities on campus. You'll see us continuously at multicultural events, break events, really truly connecting with the campus community and understanding their experiences. And I think that active listening is something that really makes us stand out.
All right, now any rebuttal? No? All right, this is the final question, I promise. So this will start with Simran. And the question is, what is your plan towards working with students and administrators in regards to mental health?
Mental health is an issue that is still not talked about enough on our campus, and something that we really, really want to highlight in the coming year if we are elected. I think one particular issue that sits home with us is how inaccessible our mental health resources, whether that's working or student counseling services, can be to marginalized communities who often have completely different stigmas when it comes to addressing and dealing with their mental health. So making sure that whether it's individuals in communities of color or whether it's queer individuals who may not have the same experiences as other students but still deserve to access the same resources that we have. So making sure that our counselors at SES and what are knowledgeable on these experiences. And another thing that we'd really like to see is more programming at both of these places in different languages. The biggest thing with a lot of these students, especially international students or communities of color is like, how do you talk to your guardians or your parents about what you're going through when mental health might not even be a word in your language? So making sure that we're developing programming for these individuals so they can, talk to their parents about their experiences.
And I think some really, remember that when she said that it's about making sure that we have adequate resources on campus, but I think there's also necessary policy change with the way that professors handle deadlines or homework assignments or laboratories. I think that by making sure that we have these available resources and also
Yeah, definitely mental illness is something that it really hits home for me. I receive mental health services from the DRC on campus, and it's been an incredibly unique experience, to say the least. If you do receive DRC accommodations for visible disabilities, you will have seen a completely different side of campus. So things that we really want to work on are making sure that individuals are getting the proper care when they go to Wayne. So they are seeing a psychiatrist and not just a nurse practitioner, because that can have a gap in education for individuals. Like, yes, they may have certificates and training that may specialize them in adult mental health, but that is not exactly the work there's more work that's done by psychiatrists. We also need to make sure that we are reforming our counseling program that is through Wayne, which is the 11 counseling sessions service that we offer, to making sure that we have something a lot more comprehensive. And something that I would also really like to advocate for would be language in syllabi, having standardized language that professors are able to use in their syllabi, so you don't see one that says special needs in place of disability accommodations. So professors are really knowledgeable as to what the students are needing on campus, and they're able to create a welcoming place for individuals who may have mental health issues, and especially when it is still such an inaccessible topic to talk about, and definitely working on making sure that there is language in other languages to make sure that we are getting accessible care for all individuals who have mental health issues on this campus.
All right, any rebuttal or additional information? No? All right, in that case, we will move on to closing statements. Similarly to opening statements, you will, each ticket will have 2 minutes, so divide that how you choose. So, and we will start with Dobbs and Laurence for this one.
I'm very happy once again. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. I'd like to thank Sabrina for just being here, a wonderful ambassadors for this university. As we said in our opening statement, we come here as dear students, concerned students who saw things on this campus, and we said these are things that we together can help address together with the help of MSA, obviously, on understanding, taking our individual experiences, and then all of the stories and the voices of so many people on this campus who often are not heard, who often feel that they do not matter, to the bureaucracy, to the higher-ups on this campus, on both a faculty and student level, and bringing those stories to the forefront. These are things that our campaign has sought to do, and things that we hope to continue doing in the future.
I definitely just want to reflect and repeat what Laurence has said. We're here for students, and that's what anybody in this role really is here to do, is to make sure that student voices are being heard, and that individuals are being able to have an equitable and wonderful experience at the university. Sometimes I know personally, like, college didn't feel like something that was totally accessible for me, because I'm just like a white, heavy, mentally ill gay kid from the suburbs, and not having like the greatest ACT score or GPA made me feel as though that college wasn't something that was feasible for me at many times, and I'm still in a higher position of privilege than many other individuals who are seeing so many other issues on campus that are facing them. And so that's something that we want to do, is really just take down those barriers, really break down the systems that are in place, because that's what's making the university inequitable for so many populations.
Thank you. I want to reiterate our thanks. Thank you to the commission, thank you to Dobbs and Laurence, and thank you to you all for being here today. And I think we'll say that our university is a work in progress, and the work of MSA President and VP is a lot bigger than just the two of us if we're elected. It's work that happened in years prior, it's work that will continue in the years to come, and we recognize that, and we recognize that we're basically just helping and furthering what students need on campus, and if you elect us, you can be certain that we will bring marginalized voices to the table. You can be certain that we will stand up to sexual violence and sexual assault on campus, that we will help improve dining and campus life and affordable housing on campus, not only because we say we will, but because we've done that for the past 3 years. These are all issues that both Mina and I have continuously worked on. So these are not just ideals that we hope to see at the university, but issues that we noticed and we worked on, and we will continue working on regardless of whether we're elected or not.
And as Simran says, we'll strive to make sure that every single student on this campus is supported through resources, through policy, through their student government leaders, to make sure that they can actually succeed in the education that they deserve, and that every single student can feel supported by the campus culture that we create, so that they can call this place their home.
All right, thank you to both sets of candidates, and we wish you the best of luck moving forward. Thank you everyone for coming tonight, and that concludes the debate.